Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free.
Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
Nice deep breath. Everybody get back in our bodies and get your lungs back. Glad to be a non-smoker. Over a year now. Scott's creeping up behind me. Lisa's creeping up behind both of us. So it makes breathing so much more fun. I want to say, before I begin my talk, thank you to everybody. I've received a lot of love and I'm truly blessed. And if there's ever a doubt in my mind, which there wasn't, but if they tried to squeak in there, it could never be this little boy inside, the essence of who we are, who you'll always hear me talk about, could never ever sleep one night thinking he's unloved in this world. It's impossible. And I want everyone to know how much of it is truly received and felt. And Margie and I have been together as friends in the workshoppies and healers of ourselves since we were children, I think. Like the spewing, vomiting kids. Getting all the poison out of our bodies until we can find that wonder and essence again. But I know she knows how hard it was for me to receive love when I first started on this journey of what I'll call New Age, New Thought, metaphysics, whatever you want to call it. People would like to do light work or hands-on healing, and my body would shake and I would sweat, and it was because I was resisting. I don't know if I didn't feel worthy or what it was. I don't know what it was. Who cares? Now it just comes in. Last week when you guys had me in the middle, I almost fell asleep. It was that serene. I just drifted away and let it all in. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, from all the top, the sides, everything. Yeah, they didn't cut my sense of humor out.
Yeah!
I think they installed more corniness. For the people of you who visited me while I'm Dilaudid, I have rights to all the comedy routines. And for the moment, let's get down to business. It was a long time ago, before time was really measured like it is now. There was a village that rested upon the banks of a river. On the other side of the river was a grand field that the citizens grew all the food to sustain the people of their village. Each day, the people that worked the field had to cross the river on a little bridge that had been built many generations before them. There was a keeper of that bridge that beat every single person every single day, 3 times a day, for crossing that bridge. They would be beaten once in the morning, once at lunch, and once at the end of the day. For that was the law. That was how it had been done for the longest of time. There was a young boy that was being trained to be a grower, and he had seen the people working. He had also seen the people being beat 3 times a day his whole life. It is all he knew, it is all they knew, and he was frightened. Some of the people of the village thought it would be prudent to prepare their children for this life, so they started beating them at an early age to toughen them up. For the young boy, this was not the practice. His parents did not like this law and would not beat their son. They just always told him it only hurts for a little while. Now this young boy, knowing he soon would be one to work the fields, started to question this law within himself. He tried to understand the merits of this law. He asked his parents, and they said, "We do not know. It has always been this way." "Well, who is the maker of the law?" asked the boy. "Can I see this law? Can I read it?" No one knows who the maker of the law was, but it has been this way since we have been a people. The keeper of the law has been charged with its enforcement for many moons now. Only he may grant permission to see the law. He is the only one that has any answers. So the young boy went to the keeper of the law, trembling in fear that he would be beaten even for asking to see the law. "O keeper of the law, I wish to read the law of the land. Our people have been beaten since time has begun for us, and I say this can't be right. I am challenging the truth of this law. I am the keeper of the law. I have been justified in carrying out these laws. I have been justified in carrying out its discipline. All who cross the river shall be beaten 3 times. So it says in the law as it was taught to me, and so I have done. You may read the law, for it is all to read, all to know, and all to obey. So he goes beneath the bridge where the law had been buried and protected for centuries. And the boy reads the law. Hear one, hear all. This new law will forever be. Any person who crosses another shall do the work of 3. Toil hard in these fields, cross over to the river, until your ego is beaten and your body's a quiver. Then you will know this law of our great land, and we enforce upon all, so we may walk hand in hand. The keeper to enforce it and guard it each day with honor and truth to keep evil away. Well, that is not the law I have been enforcing, said the keeper of the law. There has been a mistake in my understanding. Thank you, O brave child, for challenging this law. For I have misinterpreted this law as it was taught to me many years ago. No one has read the law for centuries. It is now time to break the cycle of pain that has been. This law has been misunderstood, and now a new day may dawn. And a new way of living may greet our faces with the morning sun. And it will be a great day for the people. And it will be because just one small voice challenged this law. And so it is. Now, I wrote this story over the top on purpose. But how many times have we misinterpreted laws, spiritual laws, in our lives? I believe there's a law so misinterpreted that children have been beaten since about 350 BC. And that's Proverbs 13:24, Solomon. This is where we get the lesson of spare the rod, spoil a child. Now, this isn't going to be a real heavy dim and gloom talk, just so you know. It does lighten up a little bit, but we're going to go here for a minute. This is my prop. This is the chain. Because I believe it's time to break the chain of this cycle. I can't do this by myself. It's too thick. This is a very thick chain. I can use it with machinery or something like that, but this is beyond what a machine can do. I, along with many of my brothers and sisters, have been beaten by this proverbial law, or the interpretation of this law. I've been bound, you've been bound by these same chains. They told us it was discipline, and we needed to know. Some of us have lost their spirits, some their will to live, some lost passion along the way. Some of it got beaten out of us through the interpretation of this particular law, and then we learned shame in it. But we didn't learn our shame, we learned their shame. And this is probably the heaviest it's going to be today. Because I'm not afraid of going into dark places and talks. Shame is a very heavy place in the human body. And when we, as a being, as a child, become shamed when someone beats us, it is not our shame, it's theirs. And they need to heal that. When we say people die and we say rest in peace, that's what we mean. Let your woes, all the poisons that's been in your body, all the shames that have been put on you, rest with you. And from that person, you bring their wonders. If it's a mom, a dad, a grandpa, a cousin, it doesn't matter who it was. Let their wonders come with you and bring their wonders with you in their heart. And let all of the poisons of their lifetime rest in peace. But if you brought their shame with you and you're still walking the planet, you got to deal with it. And that itself is a shame, because all the smiles that have been taken away from shame is what I've been doing, what Marcy's been doing for years when we say the inner child work. And that's been my mission, to break the chains of child abuse and any kind of abuse. any kind of law or doctrine or sentence that has been so misinterpreted that somebody else got beat down with it, even if it was verbally or emotionally, I want to break the cycle of that. And that's what part of my ministry is, breaking the chain of misinterpreted laws, breaking the chain of misinterpreted values, even if it's your own friend. That's why if you're here in the meditation this morning, it's a very simple meditation where I invited you to go look inside your life and where you've misinterpreted things and how maybe that misinterpretation has caused you to act in a different way, how it's caused you to end relationships because you thought they were antagonizing you, and maybe they were actually trying to give you constructive criticism, but you weren't ready for it. Like we said a little while ago when Joe was talking about energy work and how he was skeptical, but that one day he tried and let it in. His interpretation shifted that day. He allowed it in. Well, what if you didn't allow that friend's criticism or constructive advice in because you misinterpreted it? That's what I invited you to do in the meditation, and continually invite you to do, is to look into your life and see what did I misinterpret along the way that made me take a left instead of a right. Right instead of a left, whatever way you're looking at me. I was told when I was young, you can't save the world. And they were right. If they would have finished this next sentence and said, until you save yourself, then they would have been 100% right. Because I can't save the world, but I can, one at a time, if I start here, be contagious and infectious with my humor, with my laughter, with my compassion, with my love, with my self-healing, with my understanding, blah, 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 fill in the blanks as they go down. But that's really not saving the world, isn't it? That's just saving me again and being a witness and just loving being here. Yeah, again, Joe was the healer that day. He finally welcomed somebody to be that channel for him, and Spirit sent that special person to him. But you were the healer that day. I'm going to keep saying it. Okay? We are the healers. Reverend Siggy says it all the time. You are the masters. I'm going to say it all the time. You are the masters. Any guide, any guru, any God is supposed to lead you to you. Lead you to that mirror. Lead you to those eyes. I'm way off my talk, but that's okay. As we go through this, everything I was just saying, healing, and I look at this again, this chain, which is, I don't get this at Lowe's or Home Depot, and I only got a foot of it for the purposes of today, but it's a pretty thick chain. I can't do it by myself, but I do have the voice to challenge law. If you will lend your voices to sounds of only freedom, then you can be the one to challenge this law, any law. But are you sure that we haven't missed anything? I mean, as we break the chains of these spiritual laws, where along the way have we just been beating each other up with, through adulthood with, rules and dogma? Most of us have some kind of religious background that is very hard to shake, Catholic. So, it's like, it's almost like a molting process. And you get stuck in it, and then one day you molt, and I'm like, how did I molt back into a Catholic boy? What the hell happened? And then you realize that tape just replays. Everybody knows programs, like, sometimes you'll have fatal errors and all kinds of stuff. We had a sideways presentation today that was still cool, but it was that technology that messes us up sometimes. Well, the same thing happens in here. So we have to quit beating each other up with that wrong programming or incorrect button that got pushed. We're all people of diversity. We break some of the old laws just by virtue of who we are as a community. We have people living in alternative lifestyles, choosing to express their love and sexuality, how it comes naturally in their bodies, and how they were created by God. We have people in relationship with those outside of their race, choosing who they wish to love, regardless of skin color or ethnic origin. I guess we broke those rules too, huh? We have powerful women leaders and healers. What's going on in this world? All because somewhere somebody challenged. We wouldn't even all be in the same room if those laws remained unchallenged. We just we wouldn't be here together if these laws somehow didn't get challenged along the way. But at least we in the new thought arena haven't misinterpreted any laws. Right? Or have we? This is where it lightens up a little bit. You know, it's a free will universe. I'm always going to say that. It's all an illusion. Of course, the miracles will lend to that. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. My friend Mel and I have talked about this one a lot. And I will continue with this because a lot of people get burnt in this it doesn't matter thing. Well, it does matter. Take the freshest, clean, and Marty's going to know this one because our friend Naki taught this to us 25 years ago. The freshest, cleanest glass of whatever you think the best water is. Fiji, the Aquafina, which just translates to the end of water as we know it, but whatever. If you know any Spanish at all, end of water, okay. But anyway, take the cleanest water that you've ever drank, the purest tasting water, and just put only just one drop of ink every time you say it doesn't matter. So the first time, you may still be able to drink that water, but just say it doesn't matter again. Let somebody hurt your feelings, well, it doesn't matter. Let somebody cross a boundary, well, it doesn't matter. Remember, you have to drink this water at the end of the day, by the way. It's the only water source you have. You only get one glass of water a day. Does it matter? It's starting to, isn't it? Because I'm going to poison myself by the end of the day. There's a New Age cop-out that you've heard me say over and over and over again, is that, well, you created me to be the jerk to you, or to abuse you, or to fill in the blank. You created me to be that. This is your lesson. Yeah, that may be true. It is an inside job. But we still must own our intention and our behaviors. You've heard me talk about karma before. The way I presented it was the cleanest definition I've ever heard, nice and clean, was from Ram Dass. It says karma is the predispositions that you have that underlie your attractions and aversions. What I bring towards me and what I repel from me. What I'm predisposed to. I'm a magnet. Where am I dialed? What frequency am I dialed at? Am I dialed for love? Am I dialed for misfortune and hate and doom and gloom? Your life, free will universe. But this is where New Agers get confused a lot too. Sometimes we think if we call negative behavior out, we're being judgmental, we're not loving unconditionally. Well, you're allowed to call out poison without feeling guilty about it. You're allowed to call out someone and say, your intentions are of poison, or your behavior is poisoning to me. Again, it's an inside job. You have to work within and say, how am I creating this? What am I doing in my life to create this coming at me? How am I attracting this? I did this talk way before any of this stuff happened, so my perspective has changed a little bit. I was living very healthy, thinking that. And I am healthy, very healthy. I just got affirmed how healthy I am. I just got told, we did a living autopsy on you, you're good for another 50 years. But before that day, I thought I was in good health. I wanted to get back in shape again, but I thought, and then they ripped my guts out and did all kinds of stuff and put stuff on me and whatever, and I'm like, well, I still want to affirm I'm healthy, but something created that condition in me. I gotta be willing to own that, man. I'm not gonna sit up here every Sunday or whatever, every other Sunday and tell you we all create, we all create, we all create, except for me with this condition, this just happened. Somewhere along the line, I hadn't been letting go of things that I thought I was. Maybe my body caught up to my spirit, and it's like, good job, Mark, you finally learned how to let it all go. But for those times you didn't, it seized something up, and now we as the medical people are going to take that out of your way so you can let go forever freely. I have to go inside and look how I created this, and I'm willing to do the work still, always. I may not understand everything, but I have to go and look inside. But I had to stop the madness. That's where the Western medicine helped me in this moment. But going back to what I'm talking about here is what does the lesson of healing have for me? All of this must happen in our lifetime, and again, you're still allowed to stop the poison. But are you willing to call out the poison when it comes to calling each other out? Don't have to beat them up. You just have to call it out, especially your own inner venomous snake. Those inner cells that chatter away with hate, jealousy, envy, all the yucky things that really isn't part of our essence, but fear wants to throw into the mix just to keep you separate from that next person. Because if you become one, fear is not going to have any room in this universe. The nanosecond we as a being of people remember we're one, fear's done. Gone. No more job for it. It is only here for the human condition. Fear is not a spiritual condition, it's a human condition. So remember that one too. So, y'all remember the cock? Look at my eye. There. Done. Goodbye. Y'all remember the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin?
Yes.
He loved snakes more than anyone I have ever known. He respected the lives of snakes on every single level. If you watched him, you'd see his little kid loving these snakes while dancing all around it. Becky's not here today, but we have our own biologist right here in Becky, and I've just begun to see the wonders of her with animals and snakes. And I bet Becky will agree with me that in all her works with snakes, and in all the crocodile hunters' work with snakes, they both always try to avoid the bite. It's natural not to want to be bitten by a poisonous snake. You actually have an internal mechanism to protect you from this. We call it fight or flight. Now, we can become spiritual and you know, think we've achieved such a state of bliss that we can sleep with the rattlesnake. I haven't achieved that state of bliss yet. And you may, you know, I'll pass on letting the rattlesnake sleep in my bed. Or not. It's totally up to you how you choose to act on that one. Just don't invite me over for a sleepover. Probably not going to want to come over if that's your practice. In the Native American philosophies, snakes are a transmutation of poison to healing. That's the lesson they offer us. Venom to medicine. And we've seen in our own world, we know that science makes anti-venom out of venom. But they also do a lot more in the medical world than just like, I'm going to save your butt because you just got bit by a rattlesnake. They're taking this venom and using it in cures for other stuff. And I don't know all the science of that. I just know they are. That would be a completely different talk. That would be for Becky. That would be a biologist talk. But we know this. I mean, we're pretty all aware of this, that from poison to medicine. Well, it also teaches a lesson of owning that poison within us and doing the work inside to transmute the venomous thoughts and intentions we may have and turn them into the medicine to heal yourselves and to heal your community. Sometimes you may not even know you're poisoning somebody, but if you deliver something to them that feels like a bite and hurts them, you have to own that. I have to own that. I got really loud at a board meeting a few months ago, and my intentions were not a poison. I got called out, though, by people I loved and respected, and what I found out is that it was poisoning to them. I may go over here and scream and yell, and no one gets poisoned. But if someone's saying, hey, that's poisonous to me, if I want to be in a relationship with them anyway, I have to know that. So it made me look closer. I have to honor how they feel. These are my friends. These are people I love, and they're saying, ouch, that bit. Well, I didn't mean to bite you, and I didn't mean to be poisonous. So if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, I'm going to have to learn that to you is poisonous, and I won't do that. If I say to you, blue, and you say, I'm petrified of blue, and I keep blue, 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 nobody's hurt, blue, and it scares the crap out of her, I'm being evil right now. The moment I knew that blue was poisonous to her, and I kept saying it, now I need to put myself in check. The moment before, I was innocent, but the moment you told me, and I knew that, that's where you need to go work on the inside job and go, why would I want to bring poison to somebody? If you did it accidentally and you just got called out on it, I said, thank you, my friends, for teaching me. Because when I traveled that moment deeper in myself, I realized I was going through guilt, I was going through betrayal, I was feeling really hurt in my heart, and that was the poison that made me get loud. The words I had to say could have come out gentle. It was a very powerful lesson for me that day. I say thank you to my brothers and sisters that were here that day that helped me with that one. It was an immense, a great lesson for me. Another example is addicts and alcoholics. Why do addicts and alcoholics help other people? Because they have transmuted what was once poisoning them. and they now are helping their brothers and sisters heal. And I honor that. They have been bit by that snake so many times. Some to where their bodies are done. They've been bitten so many times. But they're going to stand up in front of their friends or peers and tell them, hey, listen, I'm aware of this poison, and I want to teach you about it, and I want to help you get through it. That's the giveaway that they now do. Well, how do I know if I have misinterpreted the New Age laws? Well, how do I call out the poison in me? Check your intentions and be honest with yourself. Are they pure? Do you know yourself? I know myself. I know what my thoughts are. I know when I've had a wonderful thought, when I've had a crappy thought, where I've asked my own self for forgiveness. And learned not to beat myself up, because a thought is a nanosecond of a nanosecond of a nanosecond. There you go. Tony can probably break that down into the real term. But the thing is, they're running through our bodies, but we want to grab that one negative thought we had and just flog the crap out of ourselves for the rest of our lives. That is not what calling yourself out means. It means to look inside and be honest with yourself and just say, am I pure? Could I pass the Indiana Jones test? Could you reach through the fire and grab the goblet? Are you that pure? If you've ever watched any of those movies, did it make your mind think, would I make it through? Would I be pure enough? Remember, the oracles always knew the purity and the intentions of the hero's heart versus that of the villain. Even when you, the hero, sometimes blunder, you'll still be pure enough to grab the chalice and drink of its life-giving waters. You have to remember that, folks. This is the part that breaks my heart for you, for me, for us, is that we think we're impure because we fall. We trip, we make a mistake. Unless you're out to hurt the world, you need to be taken aside and counseled, rehabilitated, whatever you would like to call it, healed. But if you're just having a crappy thought one day, man, give yourself a break. So now let's really be new thought and make agreements with ourselves and each other to continually challenge rules and dogma so we avoid the mistakes of misinterpretation. Any law that allows one to control another in any way are not law or laws of ego. Not laws of God, not laws of spirit, not laws of nature. I'm not talking about the animal world where you see the tiger eat the gazelle or something. That's the circle of life. Watch, what is it, The Lion King, you'll get it. But we're talking about when one human being wants to oppress another human being with their law. That is a law of ego. That is a law of me wanting to be more important, more powerful than you. That is not what natural law or the laws of attraction means. As for spare the rod, spoil the child, well, the rod was used to guide the sheep, so they all stayed together and safe. And didn't we hear in the 23rd Psalm that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that I would fear no evil, for God was with me? And that thy rod and thy staff, they comforted me. Comforted me. Comforted me. Not beat me.
Yeah.
The definition of spoil, in the dictionary that I use, to damage severely or harm something, especially with reference to its excellence, its value, or usefulness. To diminish or impair the quality of, to affect it detrimentally, to impair, damage, or harm the character or nature of someone by unwise treatment or excessive indulgence. The definition of discipline is training to act in accordance with rules, activity, exercise, or regimen that develops or improves skills, punishment inflicted by way of training, rigor of training, a branch of instruction, trained by instruction, exercise or drill, and to bring to a state of order and obedience through training and control. The origin of the word discipline is French, Latin, disciplina, meaning instruction and tuition, equivalent to disciple or disciples. Yes, folks, the etymology of the word disciplines comes from the followers of Jesus. So the disciples were the first disciplinarians. And they did not go around smacking everyone. They taught us. They taught them. They were teaching what they believed to be the word of truth in their day. Because that's a different thought. So, if you would like to pop that up. Maybe the new thought interpretation that can break this chain can be wise to your children. Teach them to come to that state of self-obedience. Teach them obedience to the laws of nature, so they may see themselves in their truest state of value, realize themselves in their truest state of usefulness, and know themselves in their truest state of excellence. And then maybe we as a people can just be done with this once and for all. I hope it's pretty awesome. Thank you.
Bless all